Here we go. We are on.
So I've been looking into both the two essays that are coming up. And I think I've sort of got my grasp on the argumentative essay.
Talking 405.
Yes, yep, sorry.
Yeah.
On homework. My only thing is I think I had an opinion of what I felt where I stood on homework, and I think that's changed a little bit through some of the readings.
Good. Exciting.
I was just struggling today, like, especially when trying to do some research, like, it was coming up a lot, like, I didn't have access to, because there were books, or like whenever I went onto a PDF to do some reading, I got some resources, but when I was going onto the library, a lot of it was coming up like page not available anymore and stuff like that. And so I was just getting a bit worried that I wasn't going to have enough resources to be able to properly do the essay.
Well, rest assured, I've had a large group in term one, and that hasn't been an issue. So I'm wondering what you might be doing that is maybe not working for you. So what I'm saying is, let me just, I'm going on to 405 now on the Moodle page.
Yeah.
So if I share the screen with people, so there we go.
I just don't know if I'm using the library maybe the wrong way, like the way I'm trying to research stuff on the library is wrong.
So if you go into important information.
Yeah.
No, people don't do this, do they? And others will tell me, what? Are you still seeing 405?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you go to the home of Moodle and you hit library information, Rhiannon?
Yep.
Give me some feedback.
Yep.
And then you hit EBSCO, this one.
Yeah, so that's what I have been going into.
Good. And then EBSCO host. And one of the tricks I do all the time is I take something from the reference list of a book or a paper I've already accessed, and I cut and paste it into here.
Yeah.
And then see where that takes me. So,
Jim, I mean, just to back Rhiannon up on this, you know, I still have access to the ACU's library online, as well as the one through Moodle. And there's been, you know, when I was doing the literature review, for example, there were several things that I could not find or get or weren't available through our library, which the ACU just, you know, has a one-line search, and it searches all these databases, and I could find them through the ACU library. And then when I, you know, copy the exact reference back in case it was any error of mine, there's no access through our library. So there are some issues with the library.
That's some feedback for the librarian, and I would love you to send a message through to her.
Sure.
I've not.
Can I give you an example? And I wouldn't mind if you put it in case, so I can see in case I'm doing it wrong, because this is all new to me. I was wanting to look at John Hattie's work on visual learning. You know, I mean, that is the most up-to-date stuff on homework. Visible learning. It looks like it will come up for you. When I put that in, I didn't get anything.
But that's only the review. That's a review. That's not the actual book.
Yeah, so I can access these bits that, like a book review or like a short article, but then when I go to see if I can get into the book, yeah, that's where I get stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was that the book just then or not?
That was a book review. It wasn't the
That was
book.
a
Oh
book
yeah,
review,
yeah, I can get all of that because but that's all on the JSTOR thing with the journals anyway.
Well, I mean, another side of the coin would be you're doing a 2,000, 3,000 word essay at the end of one subject out of 4 per semester. You're not writing a research paper as such, and I'm a little bothered that you might be wanting to dig too deep.
Yeah.
I would think that if you read the 2 papers in the Moodle page, discovered that there was a lot of plagiarism in one of them off the other, and maybe 4 others, you would make a great research argumentative essay. I mean, if you did 12 others, that would be amazing.
Sure, I mean, I appreciate that. The difficulty with that is that we then have to base what we're going to write on what's available to us rather than what we want to write.
Yes, yes, Chris. I mean, let me tell you. When I shot off to a university library, one of the biggest challenges I've had is going off down rabbit holes, and the days I can spend doing that is just huge. So yeah, I think we're talking an issue of we're trying to take this deeper than we need to.
Okay.
The exercise for this particular subject is, can you create a great argument?
Yeah.
And you're not going to get that out of a book. You have to get that out of your head, and you've got to craft it yourself. Otherwise, it's plagiarism. Yeah. Therefore, the exercise is the actual argumentative essay. We'll do it on an interesting educational topic anyway. So that's, was why would we bother doing an argumentative about something else? It would be stupid. Let's just use education because that's what we're going to be. So the majority of your assignments, the ones that are going to take you hours and hours and hours, is assignments writing units of work, a sequence of 5 lesson plans, digging into the rationale for how you've differentiated this class. That's where I want you to spend your hours and hours, so you get some really, really great material to take with you into the classroom. So you're not training to be academics. Don't misquote me.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I found one, I think it was like putting an end to the battle of homework.
You never will. Sorry.
that was a article thing, article title. But then there was like I think another one. It was like out of a newspaper. So that was one of my other questions. Is just when it comes to referencing, I found on that through the library, it was on. They basically took a part of the case against homework and put it into the US newsletter, like newspaper, as just kind of like a short article. When I'm referencing it, should I be referencing the newspaper article that I've reading it from, or should I be referencing the book?
I wouldn't get too hung up on it.
Okay.
I would say you have read a short article in a newspaper.
Yeah.
So you can reference blah, 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 cited in so-and-so.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but don't feel as if you've got to drill down and I've got to actually physically handle the original document. You're not, if you're doing a PhD, yeah, let's worry about that. But you're not.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
on that topic, I would say this. I would be aware of websites. I've seen people who hand in on their APA referencing at the end a whole string of websites and not a single journal.
Yeah.
It makes me think, oh, you poor thing, what have you been doing? And I would like you to read something that's been peer reviewed. So, in other words, it has had their peers have taken this piece of paper to pieces and okay, it's passed. It can get published. But if it's not been peer reviewed, it's not worth so much. I'm not saying never use articles from papers. I'm just saying keep them in their place.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this one came from the library. This newspaper, I think it says it's from the US.
Yeah.
Actually, US Catholic.
Yeah, I'm not saying newspapers are no good. I'm just saying let's have the majority, British Educational Research Journal, something of that quality,
Okay.
rather than.
Presumably, Jim, it does matter, or rather, yeah. So, for example, in the literature review, obviously, I've used things from journals and things from books. And then I have used things from websites, but they're websites that are either moderated by a national body or that are blogs of people whose articles I've also referenced.
Of course. No, that's great. No, I'm not knocking those.
It does kind of matter who has written it.
Yeah. But the ideal thing, this is our philosophy. We don't have textbooks in AC. We say, let's use this, EBSCO and the like, and you feel free to go and study what you like and reference what you like.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think that relates to the earlier point, and I mean, there's nothing we can do about it now, but I think a lot of books aren't in EBSCO.
Have you used Trove?
I've been using Jason.
Do you know Trove?
I'm getting massive interference on this line. There's like a whole conversation going on in the background.
Is it? Has anyone got a group of people in their room?
No.
I've got two people sitting in front of me. Maybe it's me. I'll see if I can move across.
Oh, bless you. Do you folks? Something's happening. Do you know Trove?
Trove.
Am I showing you my Google search?
I've used Trove before to find PhD theses and that sort of thing.
Well, can you see Trove on my screen now?
No.
Oh, if I stop sharing and then start again, I'll show you this. I use this National Library of Australia heaps for finding what's there, and I find I find it a fascinating way it's set up. So you've got books, and I go straight to there. How many libraries is this book in? That's in 47 libraries. That's in 10. And then you go to journal articles. Where is that? What journal is it? And I might find, oh, yeah, that name keeps popping up. I'll go into another search and maybe from EBSCO. You see, I haven't found an issue with EBSCO. If you're finding particular recurring issues with it, then please get some detail through to the librarian at Parramatta, and she will really value your feedback. And I mean, my theory is if you ever want to know something, ask a librarian. If ever you want a source for anything, they just love it, and they will find and source you anything. Most obscure thing in the world, they'll have a ball and find it.
Yeah.
You see, you get all manner of stuff under these, I think, very useful headings when you type in a search into Trove. And you can define it, and let's have only Australian content, please. Or whatever you want.
So, Jim, when you click on those, do you actually get the book?
I doubt it. Something's happening. Oh, it's downloading. 82 megabytes is coming in.
If we find then, Jim, that you know, so we use this tool to find the library that it's in, and if we want to get it but can't get it through, you know, the online library, are we best to call the librarian to see if they can get it for us?
Well, Alpha Crucis has a deal with a bunch of other university libraries, and they have interlibrary loan things going on. It takes a while.
Oh, sorry, I only meant for online things, obviously not for the hard copies. That's a different story.
So here we've got what looks like a PhD. No, it's not a PhD, it's 45 pages. So yes, you can get stuff from Trove.
Okay.
But I've particularly used it for sourcing, you know, obscure journals that I haven't been able. Oh yeah, it's a master's thesis which I haven't been able to get anywhere else. I mean, at the end of the day, there is no definitive answer on homework. That's the beauty of it. It's just I'm just really thrilled that we've got this question, and I'm so happy that it creates so much interest. That's the main thing.
So, Jim, just to ask a different question, in terms of the marking of assignments, does all of that just happen at the end of the course?
Chris, no, it should not.
I'm only asking because, for example, with the homework essay, it would be incredibly advantageous to have had the literature review marked or general reflections or whatever it might be, just so we know that we're not completely, you know, off the deep end where we should be.
Yeah.
Jim, can I just add to that? Because I was talking to Chris about this the other day. I just don't know whether I'm working at a master's level. I don't know if I'm working at a high enough level, because this is new to me.
Yeah. David and Chris, you hit a very important nerve, and because I'm your lecturer, and I'm not up to date with my marking, I know. which doesn't exactly thrill me, but I will do what I can.
Sure. I mean, it was a general question. I mean, I'm not pointing fingers. I just.
Oh, you should. You should. It's quite easy like that.
But you know, if I could make a request, it would be, and I don't mind. You know, there's a difference between a formal marking process and I've had a scan at it, and you know, but just a kind of clue, because obviously my essay is going to be largely based on that literature review.
Well, I mean, my impression. Yeah, you've had no feedback. I know that. I've looked at some of your, and I'm not talking to you personally, Chris, I'm looking at the class. I've looked at some of the forums, and I've been absolutely delighted with the huge effort that's gone in there and the ideas banging all over the place. It's been fantastic. So to answer your question, David, I have no doubts that you're working at master's level. And I'm sure the grades will reflect it very shortly.
That's the trouble.
Sorry?
I said you might have after you read it. That's the trouble. I'm not really, Jim. I'm not really interested in the mark. That can happen whenever.
Absolutely.
If you had 10 minutes to just skip through one of the things I've written and just say, this isn't at the right level, or this is at the right level, that would help me.
Yeah.
The last time I was doing masters, writing for a master's was 20 years ago. And
So,
what I fear is that I might just be delivering what I've done since, which is sermons.
would the end of this week for such feedback be in time?
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Okay. I will endeavour to hit you new. I see. I'm very conscious. We never had newbies come in term 2 before. Says Jim, making an excuse. You know, we've had newbies at the beginning of the semesters. We've never had it mid-semester. So that's caught us a bit by surprise. But hey, I'm up for a challenge.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that, Jim. I mean, Chris is in a slightly different situation. He's just finished another degree. I haven't been in formal education for a long. I mean, I've been running it for other people, but I haven't been in it myself for a long time.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I will endeavour to get you people some constructive feedback by the end of the week.
Right.
Next question.
The other one I just had wanted to ask about was, I think I'm in the right one, the major project, which I think is at 101, the foundations,
Yeah.
preaching and teaching.
Yeah.
So you've got the part 1 and part 2.
Yeah.
Part 1, the philosophy of Christian education. So is that sort of like where we stand on Christian education in Christian schools?
In there, I would say you think about, well, first of all, I would emphasize it's one document. You hand in one file, one Word file.
Yep.
And it's in 2 parts. The first part is written, I wouldn't call it an essay. I would call it more of a manifesto. It's more of, it can be a mixture of dot points. It can be bullet points, slogans, if you like. This is my philosophy for how I'm going to teach. And now, I will say this to you folks, that unfortunately, some fall into the trap of writing about teachers should. And when I see that phrase, I cringe and hit something and think, what are you? Are you lecturing teachers across the world? Are you? Are they listening to you? The point is,
worry about what works for you, not what you want to impose on other people. Is that pretty much right?
It's got to be personal. Personal. What what do you believe? And basically, how are you going to put your life on, open up your life to 30 kids? How are you going to do that? And how is it going to work? So there's no format as such, but be concise, because you've got so few words to say. Don't stay in the stratosphere of spirituality. Yes, have a bit of that, but please have your feet on the ground in the classroom as well. Where, okay, so how does that relate to how you get Johnny to do his homework? And then obviously that's in broad brush. Then you come to part 2, which is the application of pedagogical theories. And you might like this one and you might hate that, and you're going to say why you like this and why you don't like that, and how that relates to your philosophy. So it's fun. It's absolutely fun. That assignment is just fantastic.
Chris,
Enjoy
you're just
it.
basically Paulo Freire, aren't you?
Say again?
He's winding me up.
What's he say?
He
I
said,
said,
go on, David. Yeah.
I said, Chris, you're just basing it on Paulo Freire, aren't you?
As if.
Of course he is. And if he does that, he'll get great marks.
Yeah, I think that's unlikely. Both. Oh dear. Yeah, that was a helpful question, Rhiannon, because I was wondering about that too. So thanks.
Yeah, the format. I feel that you're going to be. I would like you to be hard pressed in part 1 to get. You see, the challenge there is to formulate your ideas. It's really hard, especially for newbie teachers who've not done this properly. And then there's this crazy chap who's trying to ask me to write it all down, and I can hardly articulate it, never mind write it down. So I want to feel the pain you've got as you're struggling to, why am I here? I don't really want to do. Is it actually going to connect with the rest of my life?
I mean, Jim, my approach has been, obviously, I appreciate that it's my kind of opinion and my philosophy of what motivates me to teach and all the rest of it. But obviously, I have studied philosophy, and particularly Christian philosophy.
Hang on a sec. Rhiannon, do you want to mute your mic a minute?
There we go. Obviously, I've studied Christian philosophy. Well, I've studied from Greek philosophy all the way up to today. But so what I'm saying is a lot of my defense for why I approach my philosophy of teaching is the way it is from Aquinas, is from these sorts of people. So, I mean, I'm just mindful that I'm not trying to write an academic philosophical essay. I appreciate that, but actually, that's why I think the way I think. So I have to base it on something. So does that sound okay?
Yeah, of course it does, and I'm very happy with that because that's genuinely you.
Yeah,
and that's the most important thing. But I could imagine that because of where you've come from and the studies you've done, the temptation will be to stay too philosophical.
Yeah.
And not too in reality. So please, make it 50-50. Your theoretical base of where you've come from, and the other half, how you actually. And it's not part 2 of the essay, of the assignment. It's part 2 of the philosophy. It's called a Christian education philosophy. It's not a Christian philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an education philosophy. It's a Christian education philosophy.
So, I mean, it's really, what's it based upon, and how does it affect when the rubber hits the road? Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions, Rhiannon or Chris or David?
I've got a different question on a different area. Jim, just so that we know, when do we need to have signed up for next term's courses?
Yeah.
And how do we do it?
Yeah. The enrollment form is on the main website, not Moodle.
Okay.
And you don't do that until you've had a wee little chat with me.
Okay.
Obviously, David and I is going to be the same.
Okay. Well, once one of you's had a chat with me, then talk to each other.
Okay.
When is the question, David? It's now what? 17th of June. Basically, term 3 officially starts. There's no hard and fast, that's what I'm trying to say, and I'm just trying to squeeze it all in, because technically I should talk to every single student, and I do, which takes a lot of time. Now we're getting a lot of students, and the days of that being possible maybe numbered. Term 3 technically starts on the 13th of July. I'm going away for annual leave 29th of June to 3rd of July. But so I would really love to have had our chats with everybody by the end of next week.
We presumably don't have much to choose from, do we? I mean,
no, you don't. But I still would love to have the little chat, because if you don't have the little chat, then what will happen is you'll plug. See, let me give a rationale on recording as to why I do this. It's not just so I can touch base with you, which I definitely like doing. It's also so that I can see, there's 5 in that one and there's 4 in that one. Yeah, if I can put David in that subject, even though it might be an equal choice for him, it will help me with the staffing. So that's why I do it. And particularly with secondary teachers, I need to be very careful how I apportion the students across the curriculum areas in secondary.
So could Chris and I have a 15-minute Zoom with you at some point?
Today. Deal. And we won't record it. Would 4 o'clock be okay?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, because a related question is, and I don't know whether it's a factor for me at all anyway, but there was some discussion in one of our first chats about recognised prior learning.
Yeah. Of course it is. That's why we have the chats, because we don't want you to do subjects for which you are going to get recognition for prior learning.
Great. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
Jim, the other question I have, but we'll do this at 4, is when in this process are we supposed to start prac?
Yeah.
And what do we do about that?
Yeah. That's in that discussion.
Okay.
Typically, you see, if you started in January, then you'll be doing your first placement, assuming there's no recognition for prior learning, which there might be. You'll be doing your first one in second semester this year. But because you started in Easter, that's a bit of a moot point, and we'll see. And then COVID's come in, and it stuffed up all our placements, and there's a bit of a bottleneck with the ones that were already in the system. So we've got to work our way through all that.
So maybe we could talk to you about that at 4.
Yeah, we can. But I'm glad we're having this chat, because this captures all the other people that are going to get this tonight.
There's another really boring practical question, which is for the oral presentation exercise, I did mine on a PDF instead of on Word, and there's only one reason why I did that, which I've now in fact figured out, which was that I couldn't, and I think I just was I'll just blame it on being a dad and not having a brain. But I couldn't figure out how to, having written the thing in Word, I couldn't figure out how to put the cover sheet at the top. I now know how to do that. But at the time, I just couldn't do it. So I just glued it all together in a PDF and submitted it. So I apologise for that. I'm just checking if you'll
be forgiven.
Okay.
you're not the only one. But as long as you get over it and don't do it again.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Just one other question, because I actually had my work ask me this. So I work in a foundations to year 12 school, and so I'm actually going on maternity leave in a couple of weeks. So when I get back, they were I said to them, I was thinking of doing the placement with them, which is when I think I spoke to someone, they said I can, but they said a few other teachers said, oh, when we were doing education, we weren't allowed to do placement at the where we worked. Is that where does Alpha Crucis stand on that?
Well, it's not Alpha Crucis, it's the accreditation people in NESA, and no, we can't get you doing a placement in the place where you're working.
Okay, all right, yeah, that's all right. I just wanted to check, because someone I spoke to said I could, because I was in Victoria, but then
Well, there is actually, they probably were right, because during COVID, some of the regulations were relaxed because it was difficult for people to get places. So, but that was an exception.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I'll call that a wrap, okay? And I'll see you two gentlemen at 4.
Okay, we'll use the same Zoom link, yeah?
No, I will.
Send me a different one.
I'll get you a new one.
Okay. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye, Rhiannon, by the way.
Bye.